I'm building cash. I'm taking advantage of the market. I'm flipping houses. Short term, you could actually make money by doing wholesaling. Okay, but the thing about the wholesaling, it does work. But you got to ask yourself, like, if you got a wholesaler that got a property under contract for $60,000, right? And you can see all this stuff because a lot of these properties are in the system. You can always pull them up and look at them. So if he's got it in the contract for $60,000, he's trying to flip it to you for $75,000. He's got a $15,000 margin on it, right? But he's got to flip it fast. He's got to flip it to a cash buyer or somebody that's got the cash to go to settlement quick. Because what happens with the wholesale division contract, let's say May 1, you get the contract, and the bank says, okay, fine, we'll take 60. And then they usually give you 30 days, and most wholesalers try to ask for 60-day settlement. You know, the more time they got, the more they could run around and try to flip this contract, right? But banks have gotten smart. They're like, you know what, we'll give you 30 days. And so now, wholesalers, you can see, okay, well, he got this contract on May the 1, so, okay, he's running around trying to sell this thing. I usually wait till 5 days. I'm like, hey, you still got that property? He's like, yeah. I said, I'll give you $62,000 for it. Because the thing is, at this time, they got to offload it. They got to get rid of it. And most of these wholesalers usually put a deposit down, either $500, $1,000, $2,000 earnest money deposit. So they don't want to lose their $2,000. So if they could make $2,000 for me, you know, originally they're trying to make $15,000, and they know I'm a serious buyer, right? And they'll be like, fine, I'll get rid of it for you. Now buy the contract from them, go to settlement, and then I'll fix it up and I'll sell it. But so there's wholesalers out there. It does work, but it's risky. And the banks have gotten really smart on it. And the banks are making it real. Like this last year, I went to settlement on yesterday on Friday. Man, the bank asked for my articles of incorporation, my LLC documents, well, if I was the only member, if I was this, where's the funds coming from? Show me your bank statements. How'd you get this money? How'd you get that money? I mean, they want to know what the hell's going on. They're not really just taking offers from anybody because they don't want to waste their time either. They want these things gone. They want to go to settlement because they got more and more properties coming, right? So imagine if you're an asset manager sitting at Wells Fargo or Bank of America, right? You got 50, 60 cases of properties. And then you have Doug. He's working at RE/MAX. Okay? So your goal is to get rid of your cases. And Doug says, hey, I'm going to move 20 of your properties for you. So now his name is online because he's starting to build a relationship with you. Because the more listings he gets, the more money he makes. So he has to go around finding investors like me. Right? So he's got to get these things turning because if you gave him a property in May, and here's 8 months later, he's still sitting on it, hasn't bought you any buyers, are you going to keep messing with him? Right? Because asset managers get paid on bonuses. The more cases they get rid of, the more they make. It's that whole Goldman Sachs and Lehman Brothers, all that. It's the same mentality. I mean, these are bankers. They're driven by bonuses and commissions, bonuses and commissions, bonuses and commissions. And they want people with cash, right? If you're working at let's say Goldman Sachs, you got a guy with $50 million, and you know he's going to take 100 properties off your plate, or you got somebody over there that's he wants one, and he may close in 30 days. How you going to spend your time, right? So all these things you got to kind of think about how all this stuff happens. Like this happens. Like if you look. Under status, it says foreclosure, yes. Like this is a foreclosure property. So when it comes back to short term, right? Either you could wholesale, or you could buy it, you could add value to it, and then get rid of it. But when you do that, I think I went over these numbers with you guys before when you guys were here. You got to know the house. You got to know what you're buying. Right? You got to know your exit. You got to know where you're going to get out at. And you got to know what you're going to put into it in order to know where you're going to buy that. Right? So you got to know the numbers. You got to know the neighborhood. You got to know what kind of deal you get into, what are things selling for that neighborhood, what has already sold, when did it sell, how long did it take to sell, what did the seller give up? Did he give up $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 to sell that property? So all these things you got to look at, because that's going to have a direct impact on your numbers. So in this whole business, man, numbers are like key. I mean, numbers are very important. So the more you understand on how the asset managers think, how the realtors think, you know, how everybody's getting paid, the incentives, the better you can control the game. All right? This whole thing is just a game. But you just got to understand the rules to the game. That makes sense? Any questions? You guys can ask questions. I don't care. I don't want you to sit here and talk all day. All right, so, okay, so with this property, so where's you at now? Flips, okay. So 8 to 13 weeks. Again, I don't try to get into projects that's going to take me 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. I don't get into those long-term projects. Because I'm looking at making 50, 70, 80,000 every 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. Right? So you got to look at volume. Some people want to do 2, 3, 4 deals a year, and they're happy with that. Well, that's cool for them. I want to do 100, don't do 200. You know, I'm looking at the larger picture here. So how do you make one formula and make it multiply 10 times, 20 times? Right? So it's about having systems and processes and things in place and the right folks in place to be able to do that. So when I'm looking at properties, I'm looking at the budget, I'm looking at the profit, I'm looking at how long it's going to take me to get in and get out. Get in and get out. So that's short term. And again, it goes back to like knowing your area, knowing your exit. You got to know your exit first before you get into it. Knowing your costs that you're going to put into it. And then once you do 2, 3, you know, you kind of get your feet out there, start looking at more of these properties and start getting on Zillow and Google and start just looking. You'll see what all this stuff will start connecting. It'll all just start to connect, like he said that. Right? So this is kind of in your book. This kind of goes back with what we were talking about on the board here. So if you buy something for like $66,000, you know, whenever you buy something, you on the front end, you're going to have closing costs from settlement attorneys, taxes, county taxes, state taxes. You're going to have fees like that. So you got to take all these key fees into, like, what is your actual investment in this deal? Right? So if you look at all your fees, you got $66,000 you're buying it for. You got closing cost fees $1,500. You got your rehab cost $25,000. So your total investment in this deal is $92,500. Right? This is a cash deal. There's no hard money fees involved here. So let's say on the back end you're going to get rid of this property at $175. Well, you got to pay a real estate commission. You got to buy, you know, agent on the buy side, agent on the sell side, and then with your taxes and your recordation, your attorney fees, and your title abstract, all that, that's about 2% normally. So you add that on there, and you deduct, you know, your $10,500, you deduct your $4,300, and then anything less than 12 months, the IRS is going to consider that as a short-term profit gain. And the IRS is going to hit you with at least, depends on your income category, they can hit you with a 35% fee on that. So anything less than 12 months, anything more than 12 months considered long-term hold. And then your tax bracket goes down to 12 to 17%. Right? So then you take your money out of there, then let's say your total investment that went into it, you got $44,000. So you end up getting your $44,000 plus your cost that you put into it. So you end up getting back like 100 and 44 plus 66, like 8,000 that you end up getting back. But this is a cash deal. Now, if you had, let's say, a hard money guy or a private money guy, and you went and borrowed money from this guy here, he says, okay, I'll give you $100,000 to buy this house. But he's going to end up charging you at least 16% interest rate, or maybe like 4 points or 5 points, because his cash is giving you, right? So then that's what a lot of hard money guys do. So when I'm dealing with the hard money guy, I usually take about 10% of the cost. So if I'm buying this for $66,000, I'm going to take 10% and add it to that 66, because that fee's going to go to the hard money guy, right? So depending if you're using cash, the cash deals are always easy if they're clean. You got less people involved. I mean, you can track it a lot easier. And with the hard money guys and the private money guys, you really got to be careful, because their contracts they'll get you by both nuts. I mean, they'll get you. You know, you sign a confession of judgment, you sign personal guarantees, you sign everything in there. If that house doesn't sell, they're going to give you 6 months. You got 6 months to buy it, rehab it, fix it up, market it, and get it sold, and get the money back to them. You got 6 months. So again, it's very important where you buy that. Because if you end up buying a house where there's like 30 houses already on the market for sale, and then you become number 31, that 6 months is going to shrink. Right? If you go to a neighborhood where there's no houses on the market for sale, and you're the only one where the house is going to sell, and you're going to meet your deadline. So know the area where you're buying things at. So when you're driving through an area, count. Let's say here's 1, 2. You count how many houses are for sale. You can see the signs. Right? You drive on the block, go around the neighborhood, and if you only see 2 or 3, that's a good neighborhood. That's a stable neighborhood. Right? So look at the neighborhoods before you buy stuff and analyzing things like that. So Chanel's pushing me on. Every time she changes the button, that means I gotta keep moving. All right. So does that any questions on short term? You sure? And then we'll do when we go through this neighborhood. I'm gonna give this to you so you follow me. But drive through the neighborhood, count. Like look at people's yards. Are they taking care of the yards? You know, is there a bunch of trash everywhere? You know, how many houses are for sale? Are there any boarded up properties? Are there abandoned properties? All these things are going to have an impact on your property, because it's the same stuff the buyers are going to see when they drive the same road to look at your house. So you got to think always like, okay, what is the buyer going to see? Right? So once you finish it up and you put your 50, 60,000 into it, you make it beautiful. You got granite, you got stainless steel, you got everything in there. But if the buyer's driving to your house, they see a crackhead over here, they see this, they see that. Is your house going to sell? I don't think so. I mean, you're like, you know what happened? I got a contract on 1264 Penn Street. You know what Penn Street is? Down about Trinidad, off of Mount Olive, off of Blaine Road, New York Avenue. I mean, it's not the, best area, but it's a good area. It's up and coming. So I got a contract on it. And they must have put this contract on during the daytime. So there was a home inspection contingency on there. Okay? So most people put home inspection or appraisal. Blue collar workers going, they got jobs, they might be business owners. You go to a B neighborhood, you go to A neighborhood, so you can see the demographic and the geographic and the type of people and the mentality. So you gotta know where you are. Right? So the better you know like your zip codes and your areas, then you can know, okay, I only want to play in the B and C neighborhood. I want to stay away from the D and E neighborhoods. Right? So you got to know this stuff, know where the boundary lines are. Because sometimes you can be in a B neighborhood, right around the corner is your E neighborhood. Right? So you got to know where you are. And then it goes with long-term, same thing. Long-term real estate, long-term holding, long-term investments. You want to look at the property. I mean, when they say location, 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 they mean it. I mean, that's hundreds of years old. So when you buy and hold something, you want to see, is the neighborhood, is it changing? Is it getting better? Like, are there any new developments coming? Is the city looking to do something? Is there a new Whole Foods coming? Is there like a Harris Teeter coming? Is there something going to come in this area that's going to make it rise? Maybe 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now. So when you're doing long-term holding, you're doing long-term. So you're projecting. So a lot of this information, if you go like DC, go down to 941 North Capitol Street, like also planning and zoning in DCRA, they have plans Like Ward 1, they have plans for Ward 1, Ward 2, Ward 3, Ward 4. Every city, every county, every locality has plans for their districts. Right? And these plans are created by the mayors, by the governors, because they know how they're going to allocate the money to Loudoun County, to Fairfax County, to DC, and how they're going to spend their money. Are they going to bring in new retail? Are they going to bring in new roads? Are they going to make the streets wider? So when you're looking to buy and hold, look at the neighborhood. What is happening? What's going to be happening? Is it a declining neighborhood? Or is it a neighborhood that's going to increase? Because of appreciation of real estate. And look at the repairs. So you never want to buy a property and then put $50,000 into it and then rent it out. Because you know they're going to tear it down. Right? So you want to buy, maybe if you buy something, you're going to hold it, make it presentable. Carpet, paint, maybe leave the kitchen as it is, clean it up or whatever. But make it presentable where you can get a good tenant in there. But if you're going to do like granite and stainless steel, recessed lights, all this stuff, be careful because you can get a bad tenant in there and they can really mess it up. Rental income is always good, right? So the way if you look at rental income, so when you rent something out for $1,500, right? And let's say you buy it for cash or whatever for $50,000, right? So you look at the PITI, and then when you do the rental income, you look at your taxes, your insurance. I have rental properties. I got many rental properties, but I don't have time to go service everybody, right? So what I've done is I've got me a home warranty company. So I have a home warranty company on every single one of my properties. Yesterday, a lady calls me. I got a property in Woodbridge. She says, hey, my air conditioner's not working. I'm like, okay, well, look, let me send you the phone number for the service company. You call them, you coordinate it, you pay them the $60 service fee, they'll come out, they'll fix it. Now, one of the things that the government did with these new changes since the market had gone down, and before the market was going up, what was happening was, and I did this, is I would call up my friend. I had a house down 317 Tennessee Avenue in Northwest. Called up, like, hey, I need you to appraise this property. Oh, what do you need it at? Well, I'd like to see if you can appraise it for $750. Okay. So I give her a couple extra dollars. She appraised the property for $750. I listed on it for $750. But the market was going up so much, so fast. People were scared because there was articles in the paper saying at the rate these houses are going up, an average home is going to be $1.2, $1.3 million. At the fast rate the homes were going up. So people were just trying to get in. Yeah. Right? So I sold that house and appraised, cool. Well, a lot of people were doing that. A lot of people had direct connections with the appraisers. Mm-hmm. Say, hey, I want you to appraise this for 6, 7, 8, 9. The appraisers didn't care. And the buyer didn't care because the lender wanted to see, hey, did the house appraise before I give you this money? And there was so much money out there, they were just trying to flip their paper. Like the whole, what is it called, CDO market. You heard of the CDO market? Mm-hmm. Where the Goldman Sachs and Lehman Brothers and all these guys took these mortgage-backed securities and sold them to Japan as like Class A paper. But they were really Class B, Class C paper. And they sold it to Germany and sold it to Switzerland, saying that these are Moody's stamped Class A rated investments. And so all these countries bought these CDOs from us, thinking they're buying Class A, but they're actually buying Class B and Class C. That we could utilize to protect our assets, right? I mean, I'm worried because I got a lot of properties. So one of the things they're talking about, they said, look, from now on, we're not going to allow you to write off your mortgage interest, right? So at the end of the year, you get a 1098. Mm-hmm. So if you got a $500,000 property, I get like a $25,000, $30,000 mortgage write-off at the end of the year. Well, imagine if he takes that from me. Dude, imagine 10 properties. Imagine 20 properties. Right? That would be a huge hit. So they're talking about, like, the Republicans are fighting. They're like, oh, no, we want that. Because most people have big homes. I mean, Republicans, they got big homes. And if they're going to take 50, 60, 80,000 deductions away from people, that's a huge hit. That's going to increase your NOI. That's going to increase your income. Right? So, I mean, watching the tax laws and what you can deduct and what you can't deduct, the more education you got, the more knowledge you got, the better off. I spend time reading and watching and listening. This is what I do. I love this game. It's a game to me.